From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at Noon, streaming now.
And good afternoon to you. I'm Lauren Casey, joined by Todd Clausen at home on this noon hour. Todd, it is a hot one here across central Indiana. What can people expect as they head outside for their lunch hour today?
Lauren, here we are in the mid to upper 80s already, and it's only the noon hour, and we still have several hours of warming to go. So we'll easily back up into the 90s this afternoon for the second day in a row. Take a look at those temperatures outside right now at 87 degrees in Indianapolis as well as Bloomington, 84 currently in Tipton. And look what happens when I switch to graphic here and you factor in the humidity. You notice the red kind of burst onto the scene, and that's because heat index values are in the 90s in many locations. Feels like 98 right now in Greencastle, 93 in Indy, 94 is the real feel temperature in Greenfield. Little cooler to the north, and that's because in northern locations there's a few clouds moving in, but you see close to downtown Indianapolis it's just some hazy sunshine. There's some showers and storms streaming through southwest Michigan. Some of these may clip Fort Wayne and may get close to Hartford City, but you also notice in the last few frames of this satellite loop the clouds that are right here circle just falling apart as they come south, as they run into a drier, more stable air. So this afternoon, mostly sunny skies. The big weather story continues to be the heat. High temperatures going up into the low 90s here this afternoon, and then eventually as we work our way into the evening hours, still in the mid 80s. Tomorrow, one more day of 90-degree temperatures, then some changes, Lauren. More on that coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Well, Metro Police have not released any information so far on a shooting that left one person dead. This happened on the northeast side of our city on North Oxford Street near East 34th. Police say they were called to this scene just before 8 o'clock this morning and that a man died of a gunshot wound at the scene. We'll have continuing updates on this latest shooting throughout the day on the WRTV app and WRTV.com. New this midday, the father of a man who was shot several times in the back by police up in Wisconsin says his son is paralyzed from the waist down. Jacob Blake's father says doctors don't know yet if those injuries are permanent. Blake's father is also named Jacob Blake. He says the younger man was getting ready to celebrate his son's 8th birthday before the shooting by police in Kenosha this past Sunday. The gunfire has set off 2 days of protests that have ended in destruction. Scripps reporter Ryan Jenkins was on the scene after the violence started.
Overnight, some of the civil unrest here in the city did turn destructive in violence. Several buildings were burned. Crews battled flames at multiple locations throughout the area. It isn't clear who or what started those fires at this time. We've also seen police responding to several stores and businesses in Kenosha this morning, investigating what appears to be incidents of looting and vandalism. This morning, we've seen windows smashed out and merchandise scattered at a Walgreens here not far from downtown, and more damage at a gas station in this area. Authorities have been trying to prevent this type of destruction over the past few nights. A curfew went into effect for the second night in a row here at 8 o'clock last night. It is set to expire at 7 o'clock Tuesday morning. And overnight, some exits along I-94 were closed between Kenosha County and the Illinois state line shortly after that curfew began. And Governor Tony Evers has deployed 125 members of the National Guard to try and assist agencies responding to unrest here. All of this, of course, as protesters continue to call for justice for Jacob Blake. Reporting in Kenosha, I'm Ryan Jenkins.
Ryan, thank you. Let's turn now to the latest on the coronavirus pandemic. New COVID-19 number of cases, they're on the rise again from those lower numbers we saw over the weekend. Today, the state health department is reporting 841 new cases along with 15 new deaths. The positivity rate does seem to be dropping some. The 7-day average is now below 7%. The number of coronavirus patients being treated in hospitals is rising again, but there is room for them. The intensive care vacancy rate is back over 40%. Well, check out this giant banner on the campus of Ball State University. That is Gabe Kokert. He's the nursing student from Greenfield, and he's featured on this 60-foot tall banner on the side of Ball State's Teachers College building. The banner was installed last school year as a part of the university's We Fly campaign, but recently Ball State added a face mask as part of the Cardinals Care campaign. Kokert says in a post on Ball State University magazine website, quote, "As a nursing major, I understand the science behind mask wearing, hand washing, physical distancing, and all the other best practices for preventing the spread of the coronavirus," end quote. Well, we are working on getting more information on a possible COVID-19 treatment in the national spotlight. On Sunday, the Food and Drug Administration granted an emergency use authorization for convalescent plasma. The treatment separates plasma from the blood of someone who has recovered from COVID-19. The blood gets pumped back into the donor's body, and the plasma can be used on a COVID-19 patient. Dave Falkenberg is a former COVID-19 patient who was once in a coma, and he credits convalescent plasma for his recovery.
It was the treatment that got me over this. It brought me back to where I would feel better and my body could overcome this. What I like people at home know is that it is so important that we all get involved. If you can be a donor, I would highly recommend that. There's nothing better than helping somebody else out. It always comes back to help you out.
Good message there. And the FDA says the approval is not actually the same as authorization, and this is not yet a cure. The goal is to gather more information and to gather more plasma. New this midday from Wrtv investigates. The sudden closing of a downtown spa has left some longtime customers in a lurch. Studio 2000's Salon and Day Spa in Monument Circle closed for good this past month, and the owners blamed the shutdown order for spas earlier this year from Governor Holcomb in response to the pandemic, as well as the violence followed by some of the downtown protests over the summer for their closure. But Wrtv Investigates is hearing from customers who didn't learn about the closing until after it happened, and some who have gift cards that they now can't spend. So our Kara Kenny is working to get answers for those affected customers. You can watch her full report tonight on the news at 5 and 6 o'clock. Day 2 of the Republican National Convention is underway, but the big speeches on behalf of President Trump, those are going to happen tonight. Among the scheduled speakers are First Lady Melania Trump, also speaking, Marianne Mendoza. She's a consultant to the organization recently accused of fraud while building a private wall along the part of the border with Mexico. We will have live coverage of Night 2 of the Republican Convention. It starts at 10 o'clock this evening right here on WRTV. Some businesses got some help from the government so they could stay open during this pandemic, but some Black-owned businesses got left out. Next, the story on how one business owner ran into a roadblock and how a group is stepping in to help them out. Todd.
And Lauren, we're heating up here across central Indiana as temperatures already in the mid-80s, not only here in Indiana, but across much of this Midwest. This heat is going to linger a little while longer as we progress here into the middle of the week. We'll talk about that and the impacts of now Hurricane Laura on central Indiana as we get towards the weekend coming up when the News at Noon continues right here on WRTV.
Welcome back. Hundreds of central Indiana businesses have been able to keep serving their customers and paying their employees thanks to coronavirus relief efforts. But some have struggled to get that same assistance. WRTV's Cameron Riddle explains some of the barriers to aid and how the Indy Black Chamber of Commerce says it can help.
Closed for part of the pandemic and struggling to bring customers back, Stacy and Rick's Soul Food on the east side may not make it into 2021. And owner Rick Fowler told me last month he's been denied for multiple loans and grants.
They promised that once we closed down that we were getting the unforgiving loans, which I never received. I actually even talked to someone at Governor Holcomb's office, and they said the money was in the pipeline. Where is the end of the pipeline?
Larry Williams Jr. is the president of the Indy Black Chamber and says Stacy and Rick's is not the only restaurant struggling after trying to get financial help.
When they have applied for the EDIL loan, if their credit is not above 640, they're getting denied. And we have over 150 people who have applied for the EDIL loan, and their credit didn't match up, so they got denied.
Williams says the Economic Industry Disaster Loan from the Small Business Administration is one of several programs many small and Black-owned businesses are missing out on. Williams says the Paycheck Protection Program, meant to help businesses pay their employees during the pandemic, requires businesses to provide their workers with a W-2. That means businesses that rely on contractors or pay workers in cash are ineligible.
Another reason why they got denied for the PPP loan was they were not profitable. And usually the first 5 years of your company, you're not profitable. You know, you're just kind of staying afloat.
Back at Stacy and Rick's, Fowler thought some of the loans he applied for would automatically be forgiven. Williams says that is true, but on paper, it still has to look as if the business can pay the loan back. Those without profits or employees without W-2s can't show that. Williams says that's why the Black Chamber is asking city leaders to issue money to them so the chamber can cater to the unique needs of Black-owned businesses.
We're here to help the Black community, you know, because as these Black businesses grow, they hire Black people. And as Black people get good jobs and, you know, they no longer rent, they start buying homes. And once they buy homes, they invest into their community. And as the Black community grows, Indianapolis grows as a whole. And, you know, so that's what we're out here preaching to everyone and asking for support.
In Indianapolis, Cameron Riddle, WRTV.
Cameron, thank you. The mayor's office told us that the city does not fund the operation of the Indy Chamber, but it does contract the chamber for several COVID relief programs. They did give us a breakdown of each of those. The Indy Chamber says 28% of its rapid response loans went to Black-owned businesses. 38% of the PPP loans it helped administer went to Black-owned businesses. 15% of the Ready to Restart grants have gone to Black-owned businesses, and the Restart grants help businesses pay for protective equipment and other safety measures. And the Indy Black Chamber was one of the Indy Chamber's outreach partners for that program. Well, they've dealt with one storm already, and now a bigger storm is bearing down. Next, how the Gulf Coast is getting ready and whether those storms could impact us later in the week. And let's take a live look outside right now from our tower camera here overlooking the Circle City. We have some white clouds in the skies, a warm Tuesday, and we'll get Todd's full forecast when we come back here on the News at Noon. Stick around. Welcome back. So first, Laura tore through the Caribbean as a tropical storm, but now it's making landfall on the shores of the Gulf Coast, and it could become a major hurricane before it makes landfall. ABC's Elwyn Lopez is in New Orleans, and she tells us that the area already have to deal with one major storm this week.
Mandatory evacuations today along the Gulf Coast as Hurricane Laura makes its way to the shores of Texas and Louisiana.
All eyes from this point and forward will be on Laura.
It looks like it's supposed to reach up to its maximum speed of 105 miles per hour.
Laura expected to gather strength and become a major hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico Wednesday. In Louisiana, hundreds of oil and gas companies rushing to evacuate workers off their rigs. Walls of sandbags growing ahead of the storm, people lining up to get out of Laura's path. And in Texas, millions are bracing for what Laura might bring.
When we heard Category 2, 3, we're like, yeah, I think it's time for us to go.
Galveston and Port Arthur, Texas, now under mandatory evacuation as the hurricane barrels toward the coastline.
We're looking at, a 4-foot tide. Just a 4-foot tide hits the seawall.
Here in Louisiana, some state offices have reopened today, but might have to close again as they prepare for Laura's arrival. In New Orleans, Elwyn Lopez, ABC News.
And Todd, let's talk about that storm, the path of it right now, and if we could see any impacts here in the Hoosier State.
Yeah, first thing, Lauren, that storm has been upgraded to a hurricane now, so it's a Category 1 storm. And as that reporter mentioned, expected to climb to Category 3 status. As far as the impact here in central Indiana, we'll kind of get an indirect impact. I think more clouds and some shower chances by the end of the week. Here's the storm right now, though. You can see it churning in the Gulf of Mexico. You see the satellite pictures. I know you don't see the rain in the center of the storm. That's because the radar is just on the land in the United States, and it's too far away to pick it up. But there's a lot of rainfall with this system as well. Sustained winds at 75 miles per hour. It's going to become a Category 3 storm and approach the Texas-Louisiana border throughout the morning hours on Wednesday, with winds most likely over 100 miles per hour. And then here's the track towards central Indiana. The main area of low pressure will go through Kentucky. That puts us on the northern fringe. So the further south you are in central Indiana, the bigger impact. That'll probably just be some breezy conditions, some clouds, which will cool the temperatures down, and some showers. The winds will not be strong enough to cause any damage here across central Indiana. But, you know, we could see some decent rainfall. That track holds. And, you know, once these things make landfall, though, they can alter the track a little bit. So something we'll keep an eye on for the end of the week. But our focus right now just on this heat and the humidity. Hazy sunshine as you look from downtown to the north right now. 87 in Indy, Martinsville, and Bloomington. 85 is the current temperature in Muncie, and 88 in Lafayette. You factor in the humidity, and look at that. Greencastle now feels like 101 degrees. 94 is what it feels like in Greenfield as well as Lafayette. Bloomington feels like 93. And these heat index values most likely between 95 and 100 degrees throughout much of the afternoon. But just like Greencastle right now, it's not out of the question that some areas could be over 100. As far as the real field temperatures. I'll draw your attention here to northern Indiana. There were some clouds. Notice as the satellite loop continues, the clouds basically fall apart. So with the exception of a stray shower in northeastern Indiana today, I am not expecting any rain for the rest of us. Otherwise, just hot and humid conditions with actual temperatures climbing into the low 90s. Those heat index values I mentioned going to be up there closer to 100 degrees. As we work our way throughout the evening hours, mostly sunny skies, temperatures still in the mid 80s, and for tomorrow, we just do it all over again. Mostly sunny skies, high temperatures into the low 90s as you look at your 7-day planning forecast. Thursday, we bring back some showers and storms to the forecast. Temperature will be right around 88 degrees. Friday is the day we'll watch for the remnants of Laura. It's probably later in Friday into early Saturday, but once that storm system passes, Lauren, we're looking at great weather as we head into Sunday and Monday. Low 80s for high temperatures, and then low temperatures will be in the 50s. So gone will be all these warm and muggy overnights getting replaced by that more cooler, refreshing air mass. But until then, if you are going to be outside, make sure you drink plenty of water and stay hydrated.
All right, good reminder there, Todd. Thank you so much. So they saved the world many times over the past 2 decades, but soon they may be coming back in a very different form.
Tell her, Bubs, tell her! Penguin Pete started global warming to sell more ice cream. There's no way that's true. Where are you reading this nonsense? The Townsville Muck Bucket. It's the news you can use that gets all the views. I don't think. So you better not snooze. That's a long story.
Well, the Powerpuff Girls may be coming back again, but like so many other superheroes recently, this time it could be as a live-action series. Variety is reporting that the CW network is developing the series. The report says it will focus on Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup as disillusioned young adults who are very upset that they lost their childhood to fighting crime. The timetable for when that series may debut has not yet been released. So when we come back, it is time for our Pet of the Week, and we want to introduce you to Chima, the senior cat whose story is going to tug at your heartstrings. We'll show you how you can make this kitty part of your family coming up just after the break. Welcome back. It is time for our Pet of the Week from Indy Humane. So we want to see if you have a good home for Chima. Chima the cat is 9 years old, and unfortunately his owner passed away back in May, and there is no other family to take him in. Chima is very friendly, and he has many more years to love, play, and snuggle, and he's awfully cute. He will need to be on medication to keep his hyperthyroidism under control, but he would fit into any home that needs a snuggly companion. He's available for an adoption fee of just $25, and that's because adoption fees are half off right now. You can make an appointment to meet Chima at indyhumane.org. All right, let's get one final check of a warm forecast for this Tuesday with Todd. Hey, Todd.
Yeah, Lauren, temperatures going into the 90s this afternoon. About 93, the expected high temperature. Stray storm possible well to the northeast. Tomorrow, 93 as well. And then cooler temperatures come in as we bring in more clouds and some shower chances starting on Thursday afternoon. We'll watch Hurricane Laura for Friday. Could bring us some rain, but not much in the way of a whole lot of wind, which will be good news. And then much cooler air will be in place as we work our way into Sunday with a high temperature of 80 degrees. Lauren.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. And thank you for making WRTV your choice for news. Come back tonight and join us for the news at 5. Have a great Tuesday afternoon.